Welcome to Money Talks. I'm Kathy Yang, your intel in the Philippine markets and the economy. In the headlines, relief and recovery efforts are in full swing in northern Cebu, while severe tropical storm Paulo moves closer towards Luzon. We get the latest on the situation in Cebu from Mobile Journal, Arles de los Santos, live from Bogo City. Philippine shares are back above 6,000 after a full week's decline amid corruption issues and government flood control projects. Lincoln Lahit, equity analyst at Regina Capital Development Corporation, joins us live. And in our inaugural segment, Startup and Beyond, we feature Fame Manila as Filipino MSMEs scale up in the global market. Navigating MSMEs amid a global tariff turmoil with Pinky Para, supervising trade industry development specialist. It's been just 3 days since a powerful 6.9 magnitude earthquake struck Cebu, and the NDRRMC has so far recorded 72 fatalities, 294 injuries, and nearly 20,000 residents forced to evacuate across northern Cebu. We now go live to our mobile journalist, Arles de los Santos, live from Bogo City. Mukha atang maaraw na dyan. Arles, kamusta na ang sitwasyon dyan? We'll head back to Arles de los Santos once he is ready. And President Bongbong Marcos visited the Cebuanos affected by the earthquake. The president first inspected the Yolanda housing village in Bogo City, where several survivors of the 2013 super typhoon Yolanda have relocated. He also went to see the highly damaged Archdiocese of San Vicente Ferrer Parish Church. During his visit, the president announced a 50 million peso donation for Cebu. Marcos also get to see the province's problem with the shortage of modular tents, amid reports of some residents settling to sleep on the streets and inside plastic bags. What he promised now is to build a tent city.
Desisyon namin ang gagawin natin, kukuha tayo ng mga tent na malalaki at itatayo natin, kagaya ng sinabi ko sa ating mga LGU executives. Ito yung mga tent ng Red Cross na ginamit nung COVID. At ito ay mabilis itayo at kahit umulan, hindi problema. Kaya yun ang dadalhin namin dito sa ngayon. Titiyakin natin na may food supply, may water supply, may kuryente kung kailangan mag-genset, kung anuman ang pangangailangan ng tao ay titiyakin natin na meron.
Meanwhile, at least 10 BPO companies in Cebu are under fire for allegedly forcing their agents back to work right after the earthquake. The Cebu chapter of the BPO Industry Employees Network filed complaints before the Labor Department for alleged violation of labor rights and occupational safety of these companies. According to them, they received more than 100 reports of Cebu-based BPO workers forcing them to take calls during aftershocks. One company even reportedly blocked the exit of their office to prevent workers from going out. The reports reached Cebu City Vice Mayor Tommy Osmeña, who is now verifying the reports, and once proven, he said he will also file a complaint to Dole himself. Let's head back to mobile journalist Arles de los Santos, live from Bogo City. Nakita ko kanina bahagya na naaarawan ka na. Pero kamusta ang sitwasyon dyan, Arles?
Araw dito sa Bogo City, Cebu. Pero nandito tayo ngayon sa Barangay La Paz, kung saan pinibisitan natin ang ilan sa mga residente na nasawi ang kanilang mga kapamilya. Nandito tayo sa isang pamilya na nadaganan ng bato ang isang ina at ang kanyang isang buwang gulang na anak at sinubukan silang iligtas din, kasama nila ang isang 9 na taong gulang na batang lalaki. Kaya naman ganun na lamang ang paghihilagpis ng kanilang pamilya at ikinalulungkot ang nangyari na ito. Sa ngayon, Kathy, umabot na nga sa 72 ang mga nasawi at umabot na sa 47,000 ang mga pamilya ang apektado nito o 170,000 ang mga individual. Sa pinakahuling tala ng Cebu Provincial Government ay itinigil na ang mga search and retrieval operation dahil so far daw ay natagpuan na ang lahat ng mga naiulat na mga nawawala at nakapokus na ngayon ang pamahalaan dito para sa early progress ng kanilang mga komunidad, ang pagbangon at ang pag-move forward dito, gayon na rin ang pagbibigay ng relief goods para masiguro na yung mga residente ay may pagkain at sapat na tubig. Dahil hanggang sa ngayon, Kathy, ay marami pa rin sa kanila ang nanlilimos sa gilid ng mga kalsada, nangihingi ng mga pagkain at tubig at sumisilong lamang sila sa maliliit na mga bahagi ng mga puno para lamang sila ay may masilungan ngayon dito.
Patuloy pa rin ba silang natutulog sa kalsada o kaya inside plastic bags? Nakakabahalang makita, ano? Pero nag-promise ang ating Pangulo na gumawa ng isang tent city. Nasisilayan na ba natin yon?
Kasi patungkol doon sa mga residente rito na natutulog sa kalsada, ganun pa rin ang sitwasyon. Kagabi nga, bago tayo umalis doon sa isang barangay, ay nakita natin ang ilang mga residente na naghahati-hati sa isang rolyo ng trapal, tigi 1 metro sila, na yun ay gagamitin nila para kanilang matutulugan sa gabi na yun. Dahil marami pa rin sa kanila, hindi makabalik sa kanilang mga tahanan, yung iba wala na talagang mga bahay dahil nag-collapse na ang kanilang mga dingding ng kanilang mga tahanan. Pero wala naman na tayong nakita yung mga katulad nung isang gabi na balot mismo ng plastic, yung supot na nakaloob doon yung mga residente. Wala naman ng ganun so far, Kathy. Pero yung pangako nga ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. na magkakaroon ng tent city, sa ngayon ay hindi pa natin nakikita yan, pero patuloy natin tututukan yan sa mga paparating pang-araw at sisiguruhin ang kapakanan ng ating mga kababayan ay agad na matutugunan ng ating national government. Kathy.
Okay, maraming salamat for the update. Ingat kayo dyan. Arles de los Santos in Bogo City in northern Cebu. Let's take a quick check on the Philippine markets and see whether it's open higher. The PSCI is open this Friday. Indeed, higher by about 0.4%, still well above the 6,000 level. The local bourse closed Thursday nearly 0.25% higher, marking its second consecutive session of gains. Investors snapped up shares after a recent 7-day slump, taking advantage of lower prices. The broader all shares likewise climbed, with most counters in the green. Let's take a look at the Philippine peso. Opens this Friday slightly weaker, 58.12 to the dollar. The local currency closed Thursday a tad weaker at 58.08 against the greenback. As for the 10-year government bond yields, posted a downtick at 6.016%. As for U.S. stocks, they've hit another fresh record high Thursday, even as a government shutdown stretched into a second day. The Dow gained by about 0.2%, S&P 500 rose by slightly less than 0.1%, and the Nasdaq climbed by 0.4%. Benchmark 10-year Treasury yields have fallen to 4.089%. And gold prices slipped, retreating from a record high of $3,839 per troy ounce. And with us now for more is Lincoln Lahip, equity analyst of Regina Capital Development Corporation. Good seeing you, Lincoln. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Kathy. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so what's driving markets thus far? We've seen a higher open for a third consecutive day.
Yeah, since the trillion peso March last September 21, we've seen the market decline for 7 weeks straight, and now we are seeing a technical rebound for the past 2 days, since I think the market has been really seizing the opportunity to get the prices at a much lower price right now, since if we can see the PE ratio of the index right now is hovering at around 10x, and the financial sectors is much more lower at around 7x, and it is something that I think the market cannot neglect right now, despite the uncertainty surrounding the flood control and some uncertainty in the country, since moreover the inflation rate is still stable, moreover, and the GDP is still quite stable also, and yeah, so the market is really
right. And as you say, it's
right.
cheap PE ratios. A market cannot neglect that it is a good time to buy. But does it change any of the fundamentals, though? Because It's been under a cloud of suspicion and a cloud of doubt of wanting to invest in the Philippines because of the anomalous flood control projects and the uncertainty around it.
Yes, Kathy. For that, I think that it is more of a sentiment driven rather than a fundamental, since if we are looking at the effect of the flood control on the profitability of overall market in the country, it is kind of a small impact, but rather the driving the prices down is the sentiments over the current scandal in the investigation of the flood control.
Okay, let's take a look at the fundamentals. You made a mention of inflation, and as you know, the inflation forecast range from the Bangko Sentral is between 1.5% and 2.3%. That's for September, and the official data is out on October 7. What are you expecting, and how do you think it will drive how the Monetary Board decides 2 days later?
Our house call is at around below 2% still. And I think that the BSP right now is still on a wait and see stance, since they are also probably computing in their mind on the interest rate differential of the BSP and the Fed. Since if they will cut the rates further, I think the debt market in the Philippines will be quite less attractive for foreign investors. So I think the BSP are keeping that in mind, but we are also looking at some circumstances if the GDP outlook would be much slower, that could probably tap the BSP to cut further.
How much slower then? I mean, I've had a conversation with the BSP governor himself about a week ago, and he did make a mention of a sharper slowdown, that it's one of two. The other soft data that he was looking at was data. And we did see the PMI for September come in below 50, which signaled contraction.
Yeah, I think the factors that we could consider in the slowing down of the GDP right now is the left and right of calamities here in the country that could slow down the GDP. So I think the BSP is that is one of the factors that the BSP are considering right now.
Okay, so if 25 bips of a rate cut comes on October 9th, how do you think the markets will act or react?
If the BSP will cut on the 9th of October, I think that this could bring the market up, since I think the market is really overdue for a catalyst to drive the markets up.
Got that. So how do we position then ahead of that supposed bump up should a rate cut come?
Since the current prices are still relatively low and the market is really on a recovering side right now, I think the market participants should really seize the opportunity to buy the dividend paying stocks, since I think the current market is still a stock pickers market. So the dividend paying stocks right now are trading at a higher trailing dividend yield. So I think the markets could really capitalize on that right now.
Got that. Thank you so much for your insights. Lincoln Lahib, equity analyst of Regina Capital Development Corporation. And you're watching Money Talks. Coming up, Filipino MSMEs and artisans take the global spotlight at Manila Fame. With us to talk about it is Pinky Para, supervising trade industry development specialist. We'll be back after the short break. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back to Money Talks. I'm Kathy Yan. Paulo has intensified into a typhoon and is expected to make landfall over Aurora or Isabela anytime in the next few hours. As of 8 a.m. Philippine Standard Time, its center was last spotted over the coastal waters of Dilasag Town in Aurora. Signal number 3 is now up in the mountain province, Ifugao, in the northern portions of Aurora, Quirino, Nueva Vizcaya, Benguet, and La Union. That also includes the southern portions of Isabela and Ilocos Sur and southeastern parts of Abra. Several families in Aurora and Isabela are now preemptively evacuating before the expected landfall. Alagang Kapatid Foundation Inc. is knocking on your doors as we lend a helping hand to all those affected by recent calamities. You can send your donations to any of the bank accounts listed on the left side of your screen. You can also scan the Maya QR code that is flashed right now. Your help will go a long way in providing relief and aid to our fellow countrymen in disaster-hit areas. Analysts expect September's inflation print to pick up on the back of higher food and fuel costs. The median CPI rate of forecast by 12 analysts polled by Business World stands at 1.9%. If realized, this is quicker than the 1.5% headline inflation for August, but still below the Bangko Central's target range of 2 to 4%. The Philippine Statistics Authority will release September's inflation figures on October 7. 2 days later, the Bangko Central Monetary Board will issue its latest policy decision, in which inflation will have a big say. Mixed fuel price movements may greet motorists in the second week of the month as global developments and local trading trends continue to influence costs. Gasoline will see a rollback of around 5 centavos per liter, while diesel and kerosene are expected to increase by roughly 50 and 25 centavos per liter, respectively. That's according to estimated adjustments based on 4-day trading in the global market, excluding the cost of doing business and other premiums. International developments also affecting prices. These include U.S. sanctions on Iran following the UN's decision over Tehran's failure to comply with the 2015 nuclear deal, and OPEC Plus's plans to raise crude production, raising concerns about a potential global supply glut. In our inaugural of Startup and Beyond, we zero in on empowering micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises and creatives for global market readiness. Manila Fame is a critical venue for Filipino MSMEs and artisans to connect with global buyers, showcase their creativity, and expand their market reach. Manila Fame stands for Manila Fashion, Arts, and Merchandise Exposition, one of the signature trade shows organized by CITEM, or the Center for International Trade Expositions and Missions, the export promotion arm of the Department of Trade and Industry. Reinforcing its legacy, an essential trade event in Asia since 1983, Manila Fame opens its doors on October 16 to 18. Registration is open for trade visitors, non-trade buyers, government officials, media, and invited guests. With us now for more is Pinky Para, the Supervising Trade Industry Development Specialist at CITEM. Good to see you, Pinky.
Thank you for having
Welcome
me,
to the
Kathy.
program.
Thank
So
you.
how are the registrations coming along? We're just about 2 weeks away.
Yes, actually, registration is great. We are seeing an 83% increase comparing it from last year.
83% increase from the locals or the foreign or both?
From the local, we are seeing about around 70% increase, and then for the local, for the international, we are seeing about 110% increase.
Oh, that's
more
a
or
huge
less, yes.
increase, a triple-digit increase for foreign. And what accounts for that? Do you think it's the same catalysts or maybe even drivers? And what could be moving them at a time? As you know, we've really been saddled by the tariffs
Right.
since the start of this year.
Yeah, I think Manila Fame creates a buffer against global trade volatility. The U.S. has been, and I think will always remain as an important trade partner of the Philippines, specifically for these sectors. But we are also making sure that we diversify our markets. We are expanding our presence in different markets through the different trade shows also that we participate in. For example, earlier this year, we were in major trade shows in Europe, such as Maison and Objet in Paris, Ambiente in Frankfurt, Germany. And in terms of registration, since you mentioned registration, the highest number of foreign registration is still coming from the U.S.
From the U.S.?
Yes.
So they want to do business with the Philippines?
Yes, I think...
In spite of the fact that anything we export now has a 19% tariff when it arrives in U.S. shores.
Yes, I think right now there's still a lot of unknown variables. I believe the government continues its talks with the U.S. and hopefully we come with a more agreeable terms for our exporters. But for now, the impact of these increased tariffs, I think it's safe to say that our exporters and the foreign buyers or the buyers coming from the U.S. have not yet felt these impacts. And also, a lot of markets are trying to also look for other sources of the products. I think they're also looking at more design-led, more value-added products, which we offer. So I mean, in terms of pricing, we will never be the cheapest comparing to other neighboring countries.
And that should be a problem that Citon, I would presume, would tackle. How is it then taking on that issue of pricing as a point where we can get competitive if indeed we address it first?
Right, we can get competitive. In pricing, yes, that's one, but also in terms of, like what I said, providing more value-added and design-forward goods. So in Citon, we do a lot of different programs also to address this. So we do product development programs. We capacitate our exporters and would-be exporters in terms of, design trends, and also in terms of making further steps towards sustainability initiatives.
Yeah, I noticed that the theme of FAME this year has both traditional design and sustainability initiatives wrapped around it. I mean, is that what's called for to become the value add of choice?
Yes, yes. Of course, definitely right now we are still in the early days of tackling sustainability because it's a very complicated matter. We do not want our companies or our exporters to be labeled as greenwashing. So I think since the previous year and until now, we are trying to educate them. We provide talks for them on what sustainability is. I think a lot of our companies actually practice sustainability without them knowing it, like through waste reduction or making use of recycled materials, upcycling. But we also want to take it a step further. So probably in the coming years or starting next year, we will take it a step further by giving them access to, say, certifications. So these are ways on how we can provide or to be provide advantage also to our exporters.
Access online. I mean, we haven't even talked about Manila Fame Plus.
Yes.
That little plus over there changes
Fame
the whole concept because it's not the harder, the soft structure that comes along with digitalization, but really the mind shift, the cultural mind shift of every MSME in taking it to the global stage.
Right, right. So Fame Plus, it was actually launched during the pandemic. So before the pandemic, we were already developing Fame Plus, so it's our digital trade and community platform. And then the pandemic happened, and it was a good thing that we have Fame Plus. So for Fame Plus, the exporters are accessible, discoverable, all days of the year, 365 days. So more buyers who do not know Manila Fame, who do not know the Philippines as a potential source of quality goods, they discover us, they discover our exporters, our MSMEs through Fame Plus.
We have about a minute to go. Could you give us a success, an early champion of Manila Fame Plus?
Well, I think what I can think of right now is there are still a lot of legacy or second generation and third generation companies of exporters. So where it is, because we know that a lot of manufacturers have closed. We were one of the top choices in the ASEAN in the early 90s, but because of a lot of a lot of things that happened in the global economy that changed. So there are a lot of manufacturers that closed. But seeing these third generation companies that are still alive and with their daughters and granddaughters taking over the company, it's really it's a delight to see how they keep the tradition of the companies and while innovating also with different and new products.
All right. Well, all the best on the October 16 launch. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Para of Saitem. And in other news, heiress Marilen Tantoco died on Tuesday at the age of 67. Rustan's Maria Elena Tantoco is the fifth child of Benny and Glessy Tantoco. Following the footsteps of his father in the diplomatic community, Marilen served as Consul General of Morocco. She was a director of the SSI Group Inc. and vice president for merchandising in the home division of Rustan's, the luxury retail business that her parents built in 1952. Marilen's wake will take place until today, Friday, in Forbes Park, Makati. We send our deepest condolences to the Tantoco family. And before we go, the Alas Pilipinas men's team was honored at the Senate for their historic and remarkable performance in the world of volleyball. Wearing their Philippine uniforms, the Alas members were present in the session on Wednesday. Senate Minority Leader Alan Peter Cayetano introduced resolution number 143. This commends the squad for finishing 19th out of the 32 participating nations in the 2025 FIVB Men's World Championship Finals. This is the Philippines' highest placement in the event's history, improving our world ranking from number 88 to 77. Congratulations to the squad. That is it for Money Talks. I'm Kathy Yang. Catch us again Monday, 9:30 a.m. here on One News. We're also streamed live on YouTube and on our Facebook channels. Have a great day and a great weekend ahead.